All right, we are live. Let me get the show started.
Oh, God. Somebody wants you to check your Twitter.
And they're all watching the show in the other room.
I was told you needed to check your Twitter, Elmer.
In a world of
Am I
divisiveness, we bring you diversity. In a world of hate,
No.
we bring you love. In a world of fear, we inspire you to live. And now,
Am I frozen?
laughing, loving,
Okay.
and alive with your hosts Rain Thomas, Elmer J. Howard, and Dr. Kevin.
Hello, I am Steve Jobs. Did I freeze
What happened
everybody?
to our intro?
I played it. You guys were talking over it.
It was just played.
You guys are both talking over it.
You
Is
kept
Rain
on
having issues?
frozen, and I kept on saying you weren't frozen.
Rain.
Maybe we should be calling her Elsa.
Because she's frozen.
Hey,
Elsa.
can you guys hear me?
We can hear and see you. Can you hear and see us?
Oh gosh.
Wow. So
technical difficulties with Rain.
So Steve, long time no see. What have you been up to?
And who are you?
Yeah. Jack the Nipper. I want everybody to think it's tea.
Right.
I mean, it's tea. It's tea. Just call me Jack the Nipper.
Well, if Rain was on, it's Rain's texting me. She's just sent an unhappy face.
We're gonna tell her when she gets on that we've decided she's Elsa tonight.
Right. Oh, I see her. Hold on, let me add her back in.
Oh, the beauty of being in the countryside.
Is it working any better?
Yeah.
Okay. So
go ahead.
Steve. So I came in as who did I come in as?
Steve Jobs.
And we named you Elsa in reference to you being frozen.
Yes.
Oh, good.
You come on when you're frozen, and the introduction was playing. I'm going, "You're not frozen. You're not frozen." You're like, "Am I frozen? Am I frozen?" And then when the introduction went away and we could see your picture, you were frozen. And I said, "That's it. She's Elsa."
I'll take that. I never saw the introduction either.
Oh, you guys were talking over it. So I was playing it. You were talking over it.
Yeah, I never saw it. I was like, okay, well, maybe Elmer's having trouble because he's frozen.
So what was the sister's name? If you're Elsa, what does that make him?
Anna.
So there's Anna and Elsa, and that makes me who somebody help me. What was his name?
Olaf?
Huh?
Olaf.
Who are we even talking about?
What?
The Frozen movie? Have you not
I've
seen
never seen that.
Well, anyways, and I'm Jack the Nipper.
Well, good. The whole crowd is out there nipping, and I'm like, I have a show to do, but they're watching the show in the other room.
Okay, when the show's over, have them explain to you who Elsa, Anna, and Olaf is.
I doubt this crowd will be able to tell me that. So,
and you can't tell, Rain, I'm not at home either.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, Elm, where are you?
At Kevin's house, actually.
Oh.
I'm upstairs. He's downstairs.
Okay, got it. Well, at least your internet is working.
Well, yeah, if it wasn't, we'd both be screwed.
Yep. So you are in Mayberry. You should be on TV. Yep.
You'll see lots of pictures here soon.
Well, it's funny. On Friday night, because Elmer arrived Friday, we've got this big thing going on all weekend. We'll tell you about it. But when Elmer arrived, and before we went to the airport to pick up our crew from Utah that's here for the weekend, we were watching the first episode of the new season of RuPaul UK Drag Race, and their first challenge was the celebration of the BBC's 100th anniversary, and they refer to it as Auntie B.
Really?
And I was like, I don't know what that's. I must just stand for something with BBC or whatever. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, Mayberry, but I'm like, it can't be Mayberry. It's the BBC. And Albert looks it up and goes, that's a reference to Mayberry.
See, Mayberry is like world famous. People don't realize that. People take that very seriously. So I'm here with Elvis. When other time in your life would you get to see me with Elvis and all my friends at Mayberry who are watching? So say hello, you guys.
Type it in. So wait a second. Really, Rain? You live in Vegas, the land of endless Elvises in chapels, marrying people who don't know the name of the person they're married to the next morning. What do you mean? Where would I see you with Elvis? On the Strip, baby.
Yeah, I don't fool around with those. This Elvis is a really talented friend of mine, and we met in Mayberry years ago, and we've performed together too. So this, for me, it's the real deal.
Oh, so we now know when Elvis left the building, this is the building he ended up in.
Exactly.
So why are you in Mayberry? Why are you going to Chattanooga? Why are you chatting up someplace else? I don't know, where West Virginia. Was Mayberry? Mayberry was not in West Virginia. Mayberry was in North Carolina.
Well, and that's where Mayberry still is. And I didn't go to West Virginia.
Oh, I thought you were in West Virginia for some reason.
No, usually I get through there at some point, but not this year, at least not yet.
So what's your connection to Mayberry days?
You know, the connection is my friend Ann Vaughn, whose house I'm staying at, and who actually is the one that I met years ago. She got me in the tractor parade in Mayberry. And yeah, that's history. That's a different show. And then she got me into Mayberry because she is instrumental in all things Mayberry and the visitor center some years ago. And because I love, prunes are sexy, they found an episode about the prune queen with Barney, and they put me in the parade as the prune pitter. But then they realized I could sing, so I would kick off Mayberry's proclamation with America the Beautiful. But then Michael Elvis Hoover kicked me off and started taking over the proclamation. Now, that's not true. I'm just saying because, the room. But he actually does some stuff with the proclamation. So I sing. I performed last night at Mayberry, and I was in the parade Saturday morning as the prune queen. And you'll see pictures of me. And Sunsweet sponsored me once again with lots and lots and lots of individual prunes that I threw out at the parade. So Mayberry has the cleanest colon of any other town right now. I'm here to tell you their toilet paper stock has gone up about 145% this weekend, thanks to me.
Oh my. I'm not even sure where to start with all of that.
Yeah, that's Mayberry. Good stuff. Good folks.
So you went there to sing and be pity.
Yes, and show them a moving experience through prunes.
As long as no one calls you a cow.
Exactly. Which I didn't see the cow this year either.
Well, what can we say? Good cow, a good cow is hard to find.
Elmer, have you ever heard that?
Nope.
You never heard a good cow is hard to find?
Nope.
Okay. Well,
Elmer, I'm going to ask you to be quiet because you're talking way too much.
Well, as usual.
As usual.
So, Elmer, you want to tell them why you're here for the weekend?
Yeah, part of the rebranding of New Hampshire Metaphysical and Dr. Kevin. We're doing photo shoots and promo reels and videos and whatnot, and I'm even getting some headshots for myself. They did some headshots for a couple with a camera to give me for my filmmaking as well, besides my accounting business. So it's a long weekend of doing that, and then we have tomorrow we have social media strategy with them as well, getting our social media person to understand the strategy of the brand launch and just in general, keeping the marketing and advertising up as we launch the new Dr. Kevin and the new New Hampshire Metaphysical.
That's great news.
Okay, it's no longer Dr. Kevin. Are you gonna? I don't want to say it, but are you gonna change that too? Like on your like on this show, are you gonna keep that moniker?
I don't know. I haven't thought it through yet. I mean, I know that I'm going to keep the Dr. Kevin Radio Show, because it's been the Dr. Kevin Radio Show for 17 years. I'm not going to change it now.
Right.
But we're not sure. And, there's a couple of teasers. I'm going through a major rebranding and logo. I mean, when Elmer and I bought New Hampshire Metaphysical at the beginning of this year, we knew that it was a serviceable site that represented it at a certain level, but we bought it to bring it to a new higher level and a more national and international market. And so, we had to up our prunes and, give them a little squeeze, show a little prune cleavage, to the world to, make sure that the world had a moving experience in New Hampshire Metaphysical. So they've done the website and stuff like this, but I'm being completely rebranded. New logo, new branding. So, I mean, Elmer, I think Elmer had 4 outfit changes, and we maybe did, between the two of us, they maybe did, 50 or 100 shots of you, if that?
Yeah, well, we did the individual ones, and then for New Hampshire Metaphysical, Prosperity, Financial Accounting, and a couple for Thrive Productions, and then you and I did some for us jointly for New Hampshire Metaphysical.
Yeah, but the new launch, the new site, the new everything for me, and all the different things I do under one brand instead of brand fragmentation was. They took over 1,000 pictures. I had over 20 outfit changes. I had 2 days and I shot, I don't know, a dozen promo videos, intro videos, introducing new retreats I'm going to be offering, new workshops I'm going to be doing, new services I'm going to be doing. I am 3 sheets past a prune. I'm a raisin now, I think. I don't think I have enough plump to be a prune.
Well, I'm sure, because all that stuff is exhausting and you have to stay on the entire time.
Yep. Well, and it was really funny, and I know we want to get to our guests, but this couple, they've been doing this for years. They've branded a lot of people. They've helped a lot of people get into more of a national, international thing. I've known them for years because they taught at the same MBA level boot camp for entrepreneurs that I taught at. And so we have a long history, and they just have, it's phenomenal level work. And when we partnered up to do this and to do all of this stuff, I knew that this was a commitment for a shift or a change of my streams of income, where I wanted my energy to go, where I want to be in the world in a lot of ways at this stage of my life. And so, we are literally, this is probably the biggest shift my business has had in the 33 years that I've had it. So
I know we're trying to get to our guests, but I have a question. So a lot of people that are watching this shift, are they going to be able to see the transition and transformation, and how is that going to help us all overall?
Well, it's clarifying my message, and it's I'm really going to move to do more workshops, and I'm going to do more retreats and more intense work, but do less instead of, like, during the pandemic, I had like 18 months where I was doing 38 to 42 hours of clients a week, every week, week in and week out, plus trying to write the books, plus trying to teach classes. And so it's kind of a shift, and to raise, and it's also, they're going to be creating a speaker reel with me, and it's time for me to go back on the big stages. I've been on big stages before. I say big stages, medium stages, like 500-600 people. I mean, that's not a big stage, but that's a medium stage. It's not I wouldn't call that a small stage, but just trying to help me get my message out in a more efficient way. And then the other news I have, and then I'm going to let you introduce tonight's guest, because there's very little about her in the write-up, and I know that you have a personal relationship with her. So, but on this, a week ago today, after 133 days, my first draft of the book is done.
I think I'm frozen.
No, we see you.
Yeah, you just said, I think I'm frozen.
Maybe we're frozen for her.
Maybe we're frozen for her.
She's not responding now. She left again. So.
Oh. Well, when she comes back, I will tell her what I just told her if she didn't hear, and then we're going to make sure we bring our guest in, because we want to get going. And if she gets frozen out, she'll just have to come back in, but we'll keep the interview going, obviously. This poor woman is sitting there going, I am sitting here. Why?
So do you have her information in front of you since we lost Rain? Or do you want to Rain? Oh, Rain's here. Let's see.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean...
So you weren't frozen, and we heard you talking. You were still moving while we were like, you're not frozen, like, and you didn't respond to us. You were just sitting there. I could see your eyes blinking and everything.
Yeah. So...
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I didn't hear anything. It was just both of you were frozen.
Are we frozen now?
She froze.
Oh boy.
She froze.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us,
you
Rain?
can hear me, so I'll just keep talking. Yes.
Okay. So did you hear what I said?
I can hear you, but do you want me to introduce the guest?
Yes. Did you hear the last thing I said?
So Deb and I don't even remember how we met. I think we met at...
Oh, we lost.
So Deb, where did you guys meet? Because Rain's not going to get it. Rain's not going to be able to play. Where did you meet there? Pink Sistas.
I think we met on the internet, her being the breast cancer survivor and myself. And I believe that's where we met. And it's probably been about a year ago.
Okay. So I know that you offer retreats. In fact, you talked about you've got a retreat coming up. But I'd like to find out, can you share with us a little bit about what was your life like before the diagnosis? Like, who was Deb before the cancer knocked on her door?
Well, I have a pretty sad story. I lost my son in 2006. He was a tugboat captain in Anchorage, Alaska. And he was 22 years old, and he'd only been there just barely 5 days. They found him dead on the boat. And so then 7 months later, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. So I really felt strong that I would have never gotten breast cancer had I not had such horrible grief with the loss of my son. And so before breast cancer was really floundering to stay alive, and mental health had set in, and there was a lot of bad stuff that I was dealing with. And I needed to figure out, how I was going to get myself back going again. And then boom, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, it does and it doesn't. I'm sorry about the loss of your son.
Thank you.
And I mean, I'm going to ask: is they did they find the cause of it?
No. His death certificate with 2 different autopsies actually reads inconclusive. So what we feel like had happened is like the kids that are on the court and they run up and down the court, something goes wrong electrically with their heart, boom, they're down, but the coach is there and he's just refibrillated them and he's got them back going again. Well, I can tell you, in Anchorage, they all had fibrillation certification, but they didn't have any equipment. And it was a long ways from the dock out in the ocean where they were at. So, he was an organ donor. Obviously, the organs died. There was, 2 autopsies. I loved the doctor who did the autopsy in Anchorage. And I call him frequently and ask him different questions about, well, did you check for ventricular dysplasia? And he always says, I'm never going to put Casey's file away because obviously you're going to be one of those parents that's just going to call me until you're gone. And that's the truth of the matter. So we've really looked into it, but we don't know what happened to our boy.
How do you feel that shaped your experience when you got the diagnosis?
Well, I was pretty bitter, pretty angry, devastated. Really didn't think I would ever get my life back on track. And then when I had breast cancer, funerals for kids are big, and it was a big service. And all my friends were there, and they put the cards in the basket and they brought the flowers. But as a parent, I can tell you that the flowers died and the cards weren't opened for years because of the pain of the cards. And so most of my friends didn't know what to say or do, so they did nothing. And so I just got bitter and angry. And then I had that diagnosis. Then my friends all swooped back down, wanted to be there and help me and, be the best support that they could be. But I was bitter. And I said, oh, no, 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 no. If you can't be there for the biggest, worst event in my life, I don't need you for breast cancer. So I went through all that treatment all by myself. It was pretty lonely.
So now, how many years ago did this happen?
That was 2006 when Casey died. And then 2007, I was diagnosed and went through 26 rounds of chemo.
So now we're looking at basically 15 years later.
Mm-hmm.
In looking back there, what is your perspective of what happened now that you didn't have then when you were in it?
Well, I wish now I would have let my friends help me get through to the other side because it was a pretty lonely journey. But because they just weren't there when I needed them right after Casey's death because they didn't know what to say and they didn't know what to do. So I just got angry. I just stayed pretty angry and bitter. But a turning point for me was being connected with another group of ladies who were going on this experience in Greece. And so I went to Athens, hopped on a catamaran with 9 other moms who had also lost a child. And I was out at sea in the Mediterranean Sea for 10 days, 10 islands, 10 moms, 10 different stories. And I just came back this new person. I just knew exactly what it was going to be to put myself back into the game of life. And that was to start retreats, help women with breast cancer.
You know, it's what I hear, and I want to share this with you is, you know, obviously from a very different perspective, but yet there's a crossover because I had a brother who got killed at 24. So I was there as, you know, for my mother, for, you know, everything that went on. He was 24. I was 19. No, I wasn't. I'm sorry. I was 18 still. I hadn't turned 19. I turned 19 a couple of a couple months later. So I was 18. He was 24. And you know, I remember all of the attempts and mistakes and things, and oftentimes people don't know what to say. And you know, death is one of those things that makes everybody feel a little helpless, like what to do.
Yes.
So, you know, and then when you look at somebody having that choice, because as bitter as you were, you chose to live. You made a choice to live. And you say you were very alone, and I say I bet Casey was with you every step of the way.
Pretty sure
I
he
bet
was.
that boy never left your side.
Yeah.
And you know, in an odd twist of fate, Casey may have helped you more from the other side than he would have from this side. So I wanted to share that.
Thank you.
You know, some of the crazy stuff I do is mediumship and grief work, and I mean, this is all in my wheelhouse. I've had a full-time practice for 33 years now, so you know, helping people deal with the deaths and the births and the rebirths and all of that. So,
Beautiful.
The retreats. So you went on this retreat and you found purpose and focus. Can you share a little bit about what it was about that retreat, and then start to tell us a little bit about the retreats you do today?
Yes, thank you. So for me, just hearing other women's stories, knowing that they, you know, actually had started the process of one foot in front of another and moving, you know, into an inspirational side or just a side of, like you say, living, you know, and so I knew as time went on, when I got back from Athens, that I was not going to be able to help moms who had lost a child. I mean, that just wasn't going to work for me. It was too near and dear, and I couldn't even possibly fathom the possibility of having, you know, 6 or 8 women throw out their grief on the table and me try to fumble through that. I don't have any degrees for that. I'm just a loving, caring person. So that was out, totally out. But I knew after going through breast cancer that I could help women go through breast cancer. So we started out with 3-day retreats the first year. I bought this house up on the lake in Central Oregon, and we did a lot of retreats up there, but it was too far from the metropolitan area. And so we moved to a floating home on the Columbia River. I bought this big, huge 2,800 square foot floating home, and we did retreats there for 4 years. And the retreats consist of, you know, some healthy eating from a chef who would come in, paddleboarding, kayaking, a boat excursion, a lot of yoga, meditation. A jewelry maker would come in and help them make something to take home to remember their retreat. Then when the pandemic hit, we just had to pivot. We had to switch gears. You know, we were mandated by the Oregon Nonprofit Association, and we could only have 6 guests at a time, which is fine. and we needed the 6 feet distance. So we still had them. It's just that we had them outside. We had them on the party barge boat. I still coach some yoga and some paddleboarding and some kayaking. And well, that first year after the pandemic, we had 87 women come through. This year we've had 110. So, and in Oregon, the weather is always a challenge. So we start the retreats after the 4th of July, and they just finished around the 10th of September.
So you still have this 2,800 square foot.
I sold that 2,800 square foot floating home when the pandemic hit. I knew I was not doing any more 3-day retreats. It was coming to an end. I could see it. And so now we just do day retreats, and they get to tell their story. They have lunch. They arrive at 10 in the morning and they go home at 3. So it works really well.
So what was the shift? I've done everything from run a 12-day retreat to a 1-day retreat. Yep. In a number of different areas. So what was lost and what was gained by going from 3 days to 1 day?
I don't really believe anything other than a lot of relationships are built with women. Women don't always trust. They have to build a little trust. And I saw a lot of relationships form, and these relationships to this day are still bonded. So I believe that that's one thing that we don't actually have. Some relationships are built in a day, but not the same as a 3-day retreat. Now, I'm going to tell you that our 10-year anniversary is this year, and we actually have opened up a 30 women retreat, and we're going to Maui. And these women, our nonprofit has been structured that no one ever pays. And so all the retreats, the day retreats, the 3-day retreats over the years, these women have always come at no cost. And that's why we fundraise. So we could not afford to take 30 women to Maui. And we're staying at cabins just outside of Lahaina. So it's very affordable, but they had to buy their own airfare and then they had to pay a fee. But I've hooked up with another nonprofit called What Makes You Feel Beautiful. And she's on the island, and she has networked with me and helped me so much. We are bringing hula dancing. We're bringing lei making. We are going, we're doing the first walk ever in Maui, and we are partnered. So that's pretty exciting. We have a lot of things that are coming to us at the camp that we're staying at, versus, women just hopping in an Uber and going here and going there. It's very structured. So pretty excited.
And how many days is that retreat?
7.
7. Okay.
Helpful hints, Doc?
Yes.
Helpful hints on how I'm going to get through with 7 days. I've never done one.
Well, I feel so I'm gonna offer you some helpful hints, which is that I would look at creating some parallel opportunities where you can have smaller groups than the 30 be doing things and crossing over, creating their own little mini communities. So maybe not everybody wants to hula, and maybe not everybody wants to lay. Make a lay. It's been a long day. It wasn't even intentional. But also, there's lots of fun getting to know you, things that make time pass and open up conversations. And I don't know how much you do rituals or sacred activities, I mean, I like retreats where you can do the fire pits and you can do the drumming and you can have people that do something in a sacred way of releasing everything that they associate with the cancer. I have a one-on-one client that I'm working with right now who is on the other side of her cancer, and she is getting she is having her close community come, and they're cleaning everything out of her house and saging it and doing dance and doing all of these wonderful things, and everything that was associated with the cancer that she no longer needs is going to get donated and brought out in a celebratory rebirth moment. So I think in 7 days, I would be doing activities that built on themselves. I would have a poetry or essay writing of what were the gifts and what are the things you're ready to leave behind, and I would have a ritual around it. And so these are the things that I would say would be the hints. So it's not all separate activities, but there's threads that go through it, and look for the mini communities and support those to grow, and then to do connection between the communities. I don't know if any of that was helpful, but those were my thoughts.
It is helpful, and some of that will be done, definitely. At all my retreats, I always say you can partake or not. So if you came to Maui to sit on the beach and read a book, you can do that also. So we don't really have a lot of workshops going on, a lot more fun than actual, workshops. And so I feel like there will be 6 women per cabin. So I believe, and none of these women actually know each other. I know all the players, but they don't necessarily know each other. And I just think, 6 women on a twin bed, per person in a very small cabin on the beach. Wow. I mean, that's close quarters. And
that leads into a question we have from a listener. How does a survivor get vetted for these retreats?
Well, there's really no rhyme or reason for any of the survivors to fill out a form. They just will connect on our website, tell us that they're interested, and then we start our retreats, like I said, in July. But I will contact them and let them know some dates that we already have set, and definitely they could come to a retreat. Our mission statement is all about breast cancer, so pretty much that's it. We don't, no one has to pass a test or, have any special. We even had a lady this summer who came in a wheelchair, and it was beautiful. I mean, nope, she was not in the Columbia River floating on a pink flamingo, or she wasn't paddleboarding or kayaking. But I'm telling you what, getting her down that ramp was difficult because the ramp is very steep. But it all worked out. I called the harbor master. He came at 3:00 and got her safe to the top, and just had a beautiful day. Her wheelchair wheeled right onto our party barge boat, and just seeing the happiness, the joy, and that big smile on her face, again, it heals me.
So, website, pinksistas.com?
.org, yes.
.org. So pinksistas.org. I just want to say that because you said go to the website, and
is it? Well, I'm gonna put it in the. I'm gonna post it. Is it Pink SISTAS?
SISTAS.org. Yes. Thank you.
So, you're doing this as the 10-year anniversary.
Yes.
What do you see as because you've made a lot of shifts. You're now doing 1-day retreats. Now, where do the 1-day retreats happen? Because you said that the
Right
bar
on the Columbia River. Right on the Columbia River. We're in a marina where the boat is moored, and I coach in the safe water, not out in the Columbia, but in the marina. Paddleboarding, kayaking. We have lunch in a gazebo right there at the marina. And then we always go out on a couple party barge boat rides. Our party barge boat was donated by Weston Kia, who is one of our biggest sponsors. So we've had the boat 5 years, and it got a new wrap this year. So it's very cute. It has bubbles and sparkle and, of course, pink on it. So it's pretty cool.
We have another audience question. How can people help you?
Wow, that's a really good question. I always say one of the ways that you can help us is we estimate it's only a $25 fee per person to come to our retreat. This year, we will have had 110 women at our retreat. So a $25 fee would take care of their lunch, a little bit of gas, and a fabulous day of laughing and having a great time with other like-minded women with breast cancer. So that would be one way they could help.
Can they do that on the website?
They can. Yeah. And of course, there's no limit. You know, fundraising is fundraising, and fundraising has been super tough these past 2 years, really, really hard. And another thing that you need to know about our nonprofit is we have no paid positions. And what I mean by that is all of us are volunteers, including myself, the director, the founder. We do this from our heart. My board members are so vested. It's amazing what we have done and created and been able to do with a minimal balance. We don't have much money, but I'm telling you that what money we do have has really created a beautiful thing. We don't do support groups. We only do these day retreats. People keep asking me, how much longer, Deb? You're 66. How much longer? Boy, that's a great question. I don't know. It fills my heart with so much joy and so much love. I come home after every one of these retreats, and Ron always says, you've fallen in love with another group of women, haven't you? And I'm telling you, it has healed my heart from Casey's death, from my own journey of breast cancer.
And it's very interesting when somebody is living their joy, living their passion, when they have found their unique gifts and talents to deliver to the world as a big present with a big pink bow on it that says Sistas.
Yes.
Why would you stop?
You know, why would I stop? This past year going down the ramp, my knee started to twinge just a tiny bit. I do all of this myself, but I'm here to tell you there was this guest this year. Her name was Michelle. She has metastatic breast cancer. She's 48 years old. And here's what she said to me. If you have any openings, I just want to come back. And I said, I do, but sometimes it's an hour before. I'll be there. She came 5 times this year. At the end of the season, she said, Deb, don't quit ever doing what you're doing. I want to help you. Next year, I'm going to be your assistant. I went, whoa, I'm kind of a control freak. What? I've gotten to know her. I love her. I trust her. I'm telling you what, next season, I'm going in with a hell of a bang, but I've got somebody right beside me every step of the way. All 22 retreats, she's going to be there. And I'm sure it's going to heal her too.
And that's, you know, I always say to my clients and students, you can either have a God, spirit, whatever, that conspires to hurt you or hold you back or judge you or criticize you, or you can have a God that conspires to help you, to bring you joy and bring you the right people at the right
Yes.
time for
Yes.
you to continue to be able to do your joy. And
Yes.
so, when it comes to the red pill or the blue pill, you pick the right pill because you got the right God, because it sounds like they conspired to help you there, Deb. The question
Yes.
stands, you may shift and change what you can do, but with what you're doing, I don't have any doubt you will be blessed and find those people to help you do it. So you can shift it, but again, why would you walk away?
Yeah.
Especially with
Yeah,
a bum knee, it hurts. Oh,
I I love what I do. I do. I love it. It's a short
and
season, but
we
I'm
have
telling you. Go ahead.
another question. This is from a mom who also had a son who committed suicide. Has this helped you understand your grief coping mechanisms?
I think I always say that, well, I'm just going to give this example. At the retreats, we always have an opportunity to share our story. And my story is not so much about breast cancer. I feel strongly that everyone has a worst thing that has ever happened to them, and that shapes them with pretty much with their story. And I'm going to tell you that loss of Casey, 22 years old, I mean, has just put me down on my knees. And it's an every single day, minute, hour that I think about him. It's something that never is going to go away. But it's how we shift and what we do to bring joy. And for me, Casey loved the river and he loved the ocean. So doing the retreats heals me every single time I do a retreat.
I've had people, because again, I've done the grief work, and I've done from how I work, hospice, and dealt with loss and grieving as part of my practice. And we can keep them alive as a weight or as a set of wings.
Yes.
And when
Yes.
we celebrate them and keep them alive as a set of wings, we've lost them in physical form,
Yep.
but in some ways we've integrated them in another form that, you know, gives them a life of their own that they get to continue even when they do not have the physical body to walk in to do it. And I always remember a young kid that was struggling with the loss of his. He was very, very close and to his grandfather, who was like a father to him, really. And it was a sudden loss. And he was like, I don't know what to do. And I said, talk about him every day. Find your favorite stories, share them with them. Make sure that everybody you ever meet knows about that grandfather, and you
Yeah.
will keep it alive.
Yep.
And that was maybe a dozen years ago. And probably about 2 years ago, we crossed paths somewhere. And he's still telling stories about his grandfather. And he told me, my grandfather's still alive.
Yeah. As a parent, it's been 15 years now that Casey's been gone. And for the mom who's just gone through, the suicide, I can tell you that the memories fade. And boy, we just hold on to them. I mean, we cherish them. But doctor, the worst part about all of this is I can look in someone's eyes and be telling a fabulous memory or a story about Casey. And when they look away, they're done. They don't want to hear anything more about the story simply because they're uncomfortable. So I've really learned to read body language. And yes, I have those people who I tell all the stories to and listen with open heart. But it is difficult because people say, oh, Deb, I don't want you to cry. I don't want to, at the retreats, they say, so what's your story? And I say, well, yes, I had breast cancer. Yes, it was stage 3. But I want to tell you the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And that's the loss of my son, Casey. And not to one up them ever, 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 ever. It's just, that's my story.
Well, and I think that, there are ways, because I have a decided edge over some people because I still talk to all these people. Every person that I've ever been close to that has died, and there's been a ton of them at this point, because I lost 2 brothers actually, at in their adult life, my adult life, and but they're still alive to me. I still talk to them, and of course, I do mediumship, so that helps a little bit. But it's also about, like, when I tell stories about these people that I love, I don't. I rarely. I sometimes, if they ask how did they die, I tell them. And if somebody asks that question, then they want to know, and maybe it's going to be healing for them. But a lot of the times, I tell the stories that celebrate them. Like, I want to hear, who was Casey besides the tugboat captain?
Wow.
Tell me something that makes me say, I know this Casey, because I don't know about the guy that died on the tugboat and how he died on the tugboat. The coroner, the guy that did the autopsy, doesn't even know. But tell me, besides the fact he loved the river, tell me who Casey was. Keep Casey alive, not his death.
Yes.
Life. Tell me
Yes.
about his death.
Yes. Yes.
People don't get away from that. Never.
Yes. Well, he loved fishing and hunting. He was an avid fisherman and a hunter. He loved working on cars and trucks. He was really into mechanics. There was nothing that kid couldn't fix. He was quite this diver. After fishing season in the Wind River, that kid would put on that diving equipment, dive down to the bottom of the river and collect all the lures that the fishermen had lost. He loved splitting wood and cutting wood and camping and, rock climbing with a big, huge Jeep that had the biggest ass tires you ever saw in your life. I couldn't even get up into the Jeep. I needed a step stool, and I'm 5'8". But that's just a little bit of who Casey was. Just this amazing outdoor, meek, mild, loving, caring, smart kid that, gave me a lot of joy. Thank you for asking.
And I keep hearing the word gentle.
Yes, he was a very gentle, caring, loving soul. He
That's
really
what
was.
Hearing is gentle. He was.
Yeah, he was
gentle.
He was.
And you tell this to me, and my first brother that I lost when he was 24, he was a diver. He loved going into the river that we grew up on. He was actually doing repairs on a rig in Louisiana because he was studying oceanography, because he wanted to be an oceanographer and a marine biologist. And he would go down, and he was, and it had nothing to do with why he died. I don't need to say why he died. If people ask again, I tell them, but I can hear Billy. Your Casey is in a way my Billy, and I hear him, and I saw all of the connections of that love of nature. That picture that I have right over there of him in Alaska, with the
Wow.
snow and his long hair below it, and the snow coming, and his little Irish tweed cap and his long black hair, and he's in Alaska, and I have the knife that he cut the fish with sitting right in my kitchen.
Yep. Yep. You know, a funny story, when Casey headed off to Anchorage, he called me one day and he said, I am catching the biggest salmon you've ever seen in your life. Get rid of that flip phone and get an iPhone so I can send you pictures. And I said, oh, buddy, I hate technology. He goes, your choice, but I'm telling you what, you will not believe these big, huge salmon that I'm catching. So I did. I ran into town and got the iPhone, messed around with it. And I mean, he was just there 5 days. So I did have like 3 days worth of him, just blasting my phone with salmon pictures and new friends that he had made. And yeah, the life.
We have a comment. Thank you, Deb. Just went to your website. You're a huge inspiration.
Oh, thank you. You know, I say it truly was the year from hell, and I do mean the year from hell, but I made had to make some choices. I could stay bitter and angry, and I've met a lot of parents that have stayed bitter and angry because it's a pretty angry state of mind when we don't get to see our children grow up. But I'm going to tell you that I've moved on over to total inspiration. I love, love, love what I do. Yes, I miss my boy every single day and will forever. But I've really chose to move to joy, happiness, inspiration, and really helping other women go through breast cancer. I just feel so not lucky, blessed to know that I found my calling. I found my calling. A lot of people never find their calling in their life, but I did. It was through devastation, but I did. You know, something I learned about in counseling was this: the deepest love is the love a mother has for her child. Therefore, it's the deepest pain that we will ever endure.
And the greatest well from which we can draw.
Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm smiling. Thank you for the reminder.
Okay.
We've only about 2 minutes. I'm gonna because Rain, I think, is still having technical issues. Next,
she's partying. She's out there partying, and
that's right.
RFD, eating blueberry pies and drinking blueberry schnapps.
But I got to tell you that she actually helped me with some fundraising recently. I love, love, love her gloss that she custom makes. And of course, we joined together, and I had a budget. I could not go over this budget. My board members keep me reined in. Deb, you're getting out there too far. And so she helped me with part of the cost of that gloss for next year's swag bags. And I really, really appreciate that gift that she actually did for me. She doesn't know me that well. She didn't need to do that. She did that out of love. Thank you. Thank you, Rain.
Yeah, that's our Rain. So we have a minute left. I want to announce our next guest on October 9th is Josh Johnson. He is a comedian, and I'm sure we have more about him once Rain can come back. But we have just about 30 seconds. So I don't know if any last words from either of you.
We have a book. It's on our website. 28 authors share their story of breast cancer. All local women, beautifully written. It's a beautiful book, and it's only $15 on our website. So check it out.
Well, we want to thank you for joining us. Good luck in this Maui retreat of yours.
Thank you.
And we're thrilled that Rain does what Rain does, which is to rain love down on everyone.
She does.
And most interesting people.
Yeah, I'm gonna play us out. You can hold on with us, Deb, if you're able to. But I'm gonna play our outro video and end the show.
Thanks for watching or listening to the Laughing, Loving, and Alive show. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or support us with Buy Me a Coffee. To catch all of the latest from Laughing, Loving, and Alive, you can follow us on Instagram at Laughing, Loving, and Alive, and on Facebook at Laughing, Loving, and Alive. Thanks again, and see you next time.